Welcome to Business Matters, a program produced by the Middlesex West Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with ActonTV. I'm your host, Kathleen McDonald, Director of the Middlesex West Chamber of Commerce. Business Matters is a program which features chamber members and highlights information important to businesses in the Middlesex community. I have the pleasure of welcoming to Business Matters Pfau of Pfau Photography. Welcome.
Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, you're so welcome. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So my background, I've had the opportunity to work in some wonderful places and have some interesting careers. My last one was at Boston University Medical Center in the Alzheimer's Disease Center. And it was fascinating. We did a lot of research on Alzheimer's and head concussions. It was a really interesting, great place to work, and I really felt like I was doing something important. And before that, I worked at Brandeis University in the anthropology department, and I got my master's there while I was working. And even before that, I was a teacher. So I've had lots of great experiences. I've even had the experience of owning a scuba diving shop in Boston several years ago, many years ago, actually.
How fascinating. A lot of academia, too.
Exactly,
Great,
yes.
great.
Yeah.
How did you get started in the photography business?
Well, photography is something that I've always really loved and done for myself and for my family. And I had a point-and-shoot camera for many years that worked great, but it broke one day. And that was back in 2009, and I decided now's the time to get a professional camera. So I went out and I got a new DSLR, and I thought the pictures would be wonderful, like they weren't too bad with my point and shoot, although I couldn't do that much with it. And lo and behold, I tried to do some things and the pictures came out terrible. So I decided, now I really have to learn how to use it. So that's when I started taking classes. I joined a camera club. I got involved in some competitions, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
Excellent.
And little did I think that I would be photographing people at the time, because at first I just wanted to photograph things, which was wonderful in
Landscapes.
itself. Yeah. But the more I photographed people, the more I realized how important it was. And this was the real clincher for me, is that when you take a picture of a person and give that to them, they have that forever.
Yes.
And it becomes part of their history and part of their family legacy. So it really had a meaning to me. And I was really happy, and I still am, to contribute to somebody's history and somebody's legacy through photographs. So
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Just great. How did your family influence you becoming a photographer?
So as I get older, I realize that my family has really influenced me a lot more than I expected. I think maybe as you get older, you appreciate things like that more. So my father always took pictures of us when we were growing up. And he took pictures of many things as we were growing up. And he went from prints, and of course we did the annual family photography group, and then he went to slides, and we sat through many slideshows. And most of the time they were great, and the pictures of us were fun, but he got a little carried away sometime with, he worked for the gas company, so he would photograph gas pipes all over the place and his flower garden. So, but yet growing up in a family that appreciated pictures was really special. And even now, we're lucky to have my dad. He's 92 years old now. And when I go into his house, the living room wall, I call it the wall of ancestors. He has pictures of his parents, his grandparents, his great-grandparents, and the same with my mother's side of the family.
That's so special.
It is. And then there's another room with all the cousins and all our kids and the grandkids. And so every time I go to his home, I feel like I'm kind of surrounded by this. And I always like to look at photos of people a few generations back. And I don't know if you've done this, but you can see like family resemblances. You look at somebody, oh, well, he's got so-and-so's ears. My great-grandfather looks just like one of my cousins. So it's really fun to kind of go back and you actually see what people look like. It's not, I mean, stories are important, but you know, wow, that person was there on that day, and they really existed. So it's kind of a way of proving to yourself and your family that these people really did exist. And one picture can have so much importance.
So much meaning to people.
Right.
Yeah, wonderful.
Right,
Tell
exactly.
me a little bit more about your business.
So my business, I started full-time about 2 years ago. And I had been working at BU for many years. I decided to leave that job and do this full-time. And it was interesting because I started out just doing newborns. And I love working with newborns, and I think it's such an amazing, special time of life, a little crazy sometimes, but it's just a wondrous time of life. But I think my experiences working with older people and working in Alzheimer's kind of influenced that, because I felt like something was missing in newborn photography. And that was the connection between other people in the family and the importance of having a baby to the grandparents. And it really is an amazing thing to have this connection between the generations. And it's something that I'm really excited about doing. And oftentimes I think grandparents get left out too. A lot of focus is on the immediate family, which is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. But I always like to include the grandparents, and if there are great grandparents, it just makes it so special.
It does.
And so important to that family just to have these connections and to have a record of it. And I live in Bolton. And I have a studio that I use share with other photographers in Westford. So I have an option there. And I also do something a little different than a lot of photographers. I will go out to people's homes and photograph families there. And it makes it a little easier for parents of newborns when you go to them, especially if they have other kids there, because that way the kids can be comfortable. We can focus on the newborn for a while and then pop the other kids back in. But yet they're in their own territory and they have their toys there and they can play.
That's comfortable. That's a comfort zone for them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
sometimes it's tough to haul the family out to a studio, and they're kind of on uncharted territory. And not all kids are great when they're in a new environment. But so I do have that option. And on the other end of the spectrum too, it's also good for elders if people are in assisted living. And I do work with assisted living facilities and I go in and I do family portraits there too.
Nice.
Because a lot of times people can't get out, or older people are confined to their homes, and they can move around their homes, but they can't go much further. So I make it a special effort to go to them. And I think that that's really something that's important. And I think creating a family legacy is really what I'm trying to do through newborns and
a visual legacy. How
exactly,
wonderful.
exactly,
Beautiful.
yeah.
So, from your perspective, what differentiates you from other photographers?
So I provide a custom experience for all my clients. The first step when we talk about photographing is, what's involved. If somebody hires me, I want to sit down with them. If we're going to shoot in their house, I will go to their home and check it out at the time of day that will work best for them, and figure out what to do if it's a nice day. How are we going to handle this if it's a rainy day? How is it all going to work? So we plan ahead of time. We talk about clothing, and I really want it to be something that we work together and create something that is going to be meaningful for that family, and something that they want. If I go in and tell them to wear a suit and tie, and they're not that type of family, it's not going to work.
No, and then it will show visually that they're not comfortable. Exactly. Good.
Right. So I really make an effort to. First, we have the consultation, and we talk about what we want, what their goal is, what their vision is, and then how do we get that? How do we get there? And then the next step is the actual photo session itself. So we'll spend however long it takes, sometimes outside, sometimes inside, and we'll make it happen. And we'll include as many people as we can, or if it's just one person and two people, that's great. I recently had a 94-year-old woman and her daughter.
Beautiful.
With a mother-daughter photo session.
Oh, how nice.
And it was so meaningful to both of them. It was really very special.
Yeah.
So after the photo session itself, and it's fun. It's a lot of people are like, oh no, it's the worst thing that could happen. But people enjoy it. I bring toys for the kids to play with. I try to keep them entertained and happy.
Good.
And you don't have to worry about posing. I take care of everything. I make you look good. Even if we have an outdoor shoot, I have fake rocks that I bring with me. So we have posing rocks to sit down comfortably on.
Very good.
You know, I don't want older people sitting on the ground, on the dirt, or in New England, you never know what the weather's going to be.
Correct. Yeah.
So I bring everything that is necessary there.
Excellent.
So, and
Very
after
good.
after we shoot all the photos, we get back together in about a week or two, and we look at them and we go through them. And this is where my clients order what they want. So they make their choices there, and I make it easy for them. I show them what we're looking for. A lot of times people have a hard time posing or deciding which to get. So I help them out there. We figure out what we want and what's going to look best where. So it's a really 3-step process to the actual.
That's great.
Yeah, and I also guarantee my work. So if you don't have to buy anything unless you absolutely love it. So that's my guarantee to you.
That's very smart as a businesswoman, because then you'll have extremely satisfied customers.
Exactly.
Excellent.
You know, I wouldn't want to buy something that I didn't want. So, you know, this way we'll make sure to keep everybody happy and have something that will create a legacy for them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you do other types of photography?
I do on occasion, yes.
Oh, great, great.
As you know, I was at the annual meeting for the Chamber of Commerce a couple of weeks ago, and I had the pleasure of shooting that event, which was wonderful. It was a really special time for the Chamber, and I got to meet the new board of directors, and we did a group shot, and then I did some individual headshots.
Yeah.
So I do things like that. I also like to include pets in my photographs. Pets are a big part of a family often.
True.
And I have a lot of dogs in my pictures. And not only that, but I do photograph dogs by themselves too. Because some people, their pets are, I know, I used to have a dog too. So a pet's really part of your family and who you are. So pets are great too. So that's another aspect.
That's great. You know, in closing, I always love to talk to people who are in the creative arts, and just to have a sense of what motivates you. Why do you photograph? What's drawn you to it? It sounds like you have a family connection, but tell us a little bit more about what motivates you.
Well, I have a new, I guess, tagline or statement that you could call it. It's called Newborns to 90s, and that kind of epitomizes what my motivation is. I think it's so important to photograph newborns along with older people and older generations. And the reason I do it is because I feel like the connections between the generations are critical. And I think it's important for kids to know that they're part of something greater, that it's not just them. They belong to a family. That family is always going to love them, care for them, and be part of who they are. And it's really important for the grandparents and the great-grandparents, because as kind of like the wise people, the wise elders, you know, we're learning from them. We're always learning from their experiences. And as a grandmother myself, there's really nothing more special than spending time with your grandchildren and having that. It's just a wonderful time, and not just imparting knowledge, but having fun too. And I also think it's important for women to be included in family portraits. Many times women feel like, oh, I'm too heavy, my hair isn't the right color, or something's wrong, you know. Well, I think it's really important because your kids don't see that. They see you as who you are, and that loving mother or daughter. And people don't notice your flaws like you do. You're way too critical on yourself. And I think it's really important for your children to
The
know,
inclusion.
to have that, so they can go back to that in 20 years and say, yeah, that was my mom. I'm so proud of her. I love her.
That's
They're not going to
great.
look at it and say, oh, I'm 20
You're
pounds overweight.
absolutely right. You're
So I
absolutely
really
right.
think being in photographs shows the beauty of everybody, and it's my job to do that too.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah, I am.
Catherine, this has been so wonderful. We wish you much continued success with Catherine Pfau Photography. And thank you for sharing your beautiful creativity with us and your statement of making the bigger picture.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I would like to mention that on May 31st, the Chamber is having a tremendous business forum on practical HR solutions with 3 experts, David Clough of Empowers Advisors, Chris Donovan of Telemann Insurance, and attorney Walter Foster of Eckert, Siemens, Charon, and Mellott, LLC. As a business owner, this is a fantastic opportunity to hear experts speak on important, relevant HR topics, such as the new law on equal pay and legal information on terminations, how to hire in this environment and how to keep those who you have hired, and also in terms of annual reviews. Another topic we will focus on is the HR function as your company grows and the technology that will help you with that issue. The business forum will take place on Wednesday, May 31st from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Acton Co-work and Conference Center, which is located at 526 Main Street in Acton. Advance registration is recommended. Chamber members are $15 and non-members are $25. Register online at mwcoc.com or call the Chamber office at 978-263-0010. We will be back shortly with our next guest.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Well, teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
Welcome back to Business Matters. And now I have the pleasure of welcoming to Business Matters Christine Gallery, Senior Vice President of Planning and Chief Strategy Officer, and Amanda Sarbacker, who is the Practice Manager for the Urgent Care Centers. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us, Kathleen.
I'm so glad to have you. And Christine, can you tell us a little bit about this new phase in Emerson's development? Why did Emerson at this point decide to expand into urgent care business?
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to talk about this. We're so excited about this new line of business for us, essentially. So we decided to go into the urgent care line of business because of the consumer. What we see and you see is a proliferation of many, many urgent care centers, and there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. People really want to have easy access, convenience of service, and sort of immediate care. Mm-hmm. And we have wonderful physician practices, very high quality, but at the same time, you know, they're not always opened on the weekends or later in the evening. So we wanted to be able to offer a complimentary service to our physician practices so people had easy access to care when they needed it. So it was really in response to this rising consumerism that we see in healthcare.
Yes, excellent. And the cost efficiency of it as well is great.
It is absolutely a lower cost way to receive care that is often not necessary to go to an emergency department. It's a great alternative, and it's really the cost of a copay, a small copay, versus a larger copay in the emergency department. So it's a much smarter way to receive care for really the majority of the things that you need urgently.
Yes, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So now, how does the urgent care strategy fit into your overall strategy?
Yeah. So essentially our urgent care centers are just another point of access into the Emerson healthcare system. So we have lots of points of access. We have our physicians' offices, we have the emergency department, we have if you're delivering a baby or whatever it might be. And this is just yet another way to connect into the Emerson health system. So we're located where people shop and work and live, and it's just an easy way for them to access care and to access the continuum of care that Emerson provides.
So it's just fantastic because it's such a great holistic perspective on being there at every point in a patient's needs, from birth to
Absolutely.
Older
Absolutely.
consumers.
And last year when I was here, I talked to you about our health and wellness center, which is moving into a much larger space just in a couple of months. And again, it's this perspective where we want to take care of you where you're at on your healthcare journey. So maybe it's wellness and prevention, or maybe it's, oh, I've just fallen and hurt myself, or I feel like I have the sniffles or something like that, and I just want to walk in someplace and be seen quickly. Or maybe it's something that really is an emergency. You need to go to the emergency department, or it's something routine where you can come to the hospital. But we want to meet the patients where they're at and and whatever they need.
Yeah, where you're reaching out into the community. It's not that the patient has to come to Concord now as the exclusive location, obviously, but now reaching out into the community where they are.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
long gone are the days where we expected people to come to us for care. So we have at Emerson embraced the strategy over the last 20 years, really, where we know we need to be in the communities where people live, where they work, where they're traveling routinely, that are easy access. So that started with our Westford Health Center in Westford, and then Groton, and then Sudbury, and now the urgent care centers. So, we really understand that we need to be out in the community where people are.
Excellent, excellent. And tell me a little bit more about the immediate plans for the centers in the areas that you've located them.
Yes, absolutely. So we opened the Hudson Urgent Care Center in the shopping area where Cabela's is, and that opened at the end of February. And that's been going really strong, very well received, great patient feedback, ease of access. People can use what we've obtained something called Clockwise. So you can go on your phone or your tablet or your computer and you can reserve a spot so you know exactly when you'll be seen before you show up. So that's been tremendously well received. Then we have one opening at the Point in Littleton, and that opens mid-May. And we're really excited about that. It looks beautiful. It's coming right along. So that will be open before we know it. And in addition to the Urgent Care Center, we also have another suite right next door to it where we'll have various specialists from Emerson who will have office hours there. So we're very excited about that.
Very, very strategic in your planning. Excellent. And how did you come to choose the communities of Littleton, Hudson for your centers?
Yeah, good question. So we were very deliberate about how we chose those communities. And in fact, we used an architectural firm that does a lot of work with retail centers in location analysis. And we understood from the get-go that urgent care is really a retail strategy, right? I mean, you want to go where people are, you know, shopping and going regularly, and maybe they're with their kids. And so we hired this firm, and they did an analysis of our service area and some of the towns kind of contiguous to our service area. And based on certain criteria like population density, drive times, daytime population, number of new homes and how many houses, and also kind of distance from our existing services and practices. We didn't want to be, you know, competing with our own physicians and practices. So we wanted to have a decent enough distance where we knew we were going to be complementary to what already existed. And they suggested Hudson. It was really sort of the absolute dot on the map. They said this is the place to be. And once we knew the town we wanted to be in, we then went ahead with our real estate advisors and looked at various locations. And it was really a no-brainer. Right. If you go to that shopping area, the Highland Commons, there are many, many shops there, and obviously a bustling and busy place. So we were really thrilled to have the opportunity to be there. And we did the same, very similar analysis for Littleton, using a lot of the same criteria. And again, the Point, really busy area and quite a destination.
And tremendous visibility from 495.
Absolutely.
Great access on
Yes.
and off.
For
Perfect.
both centers, very easy access to
Yes.
major roads.
Excellent, excellent. And tell me, how are you differentiating Emerson Urgent Care from other Minix clinics and other urgent centers in the area?
Yeah. So we are different from a Minute Clinic. For example, in the Minute Clinic, that is staffed by nurse practitioners, and there's really a limited number of diagnoses that they see. Our centers are staffed by board-certified physicians, and there's a much longer list that Amanda will get into in a moment of the types of illnesses and injuries that we see. So our capabilities are broader than that. And I think the key difference between us and some of the freestanding urgent care centers that you see, things like American Family Care and CareWell, they're staffed by very high quality physicians, and they provide excellent care within the four walls of the urgent care center.
Right.
But the big difference between us, a hospital-based urgent care, and something like those freestanding centers is that once you enter our urgent care center, you're entering the Emerson Health system. So whatever follow-up you may need, if you've broken something, if you've injured yourself, if you need follow-up care by a primary care physician, we can make sure we can not only make sure that you have the follow-up, but we oftentimes make the appointment for you before you even leave urgent care. We make sure that that follow-up is there, so that you are connected into our system. You can see a specialist, you can see a surgeon if you need it. So we ensure that you get the proper follow-up. What we've also discovered, interestingly, is that about 60% of the folks that have come to the Hudson Urgent Care Facility do not have a primary care physician. So here's an opportunity to let them know about the wonderful primary care physicians that we have that are affiliated with Emerson, and to get them hooked up, because it is so important to have a primary care physician.
Yes.
Urgent care only provides episodic care for certain things. You really need a primary care physician who's looking at you on a continual basis, who knows you, giving you annual physicals and checkups. So we really want to make sure that people are connected properly with primary care.
And having that referral base is just perfect.
It's absolutely
really
tremendous. And I think
so helpful.
the third thing is, even if you do have an Emerson affiliated primary care physician, the really wonderful thing is our ability to use our electronic record to communicate back to your physician, to let them know you've come to the center, something's happened to you, this is what we've done, this is what we've prescribed, this is what we recommended for follow-up. And so they're able to see that in your record, and they know that you've been there. So there's a real continuity of care that we can provide as a hospital-based center.
Excellent, excellent. Amanda?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the particular injuries and illnesses that an urgent care center would treat.
So at Emerson Urgent Care, we're able to see many things, starting with sore throats, ear pain. We also see lacerations, injuries such as broken bones. We've seen work-related injuries that other urgent care facilities aren't able to see. Yeah, we've seen a wide scope of different services.
And are the doctors always on site?
Yeah, we always have doctors on site.
Perfect.
That's our all-time goal. So we may eventually bring on nurse practitioners, but we still will always have doctors on site, which is different than the other urgent cares.
And can someone literally just walk in, or is it best to use the new technology to make an appointment?
So we can do both. Many patients walk in on a day-to-day basis, but we do highly suggest that they schedule their appointment on clockwise. It's actually very exciting for patients to go on and reserve their spot right on our clockwise system, which is found on Emerson Urgent Care's website. However, if they don't and they walk in, we're able to accommodate that visit just as they would see their primary care.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a really
That's
great system.
And so have you seen repeated patients already that
Yeah,
have
we
had
actually
such
were
a
just-
positive experience
Yeah.
that
We were
they're
just
right
talking
back?
about
We
that.
just talked
Excellent.
about that before
Yeah.
meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've had many patients come back to Emerson Urgent Care because they were so satisfied.
That's great.
We've had to help patients get their back to their primary care because they really enjoy coming to Emerson Urgent Care. But we are happy to see these repeat patients it just shows that we're really doing a great job there.
Excellent, very good.
Yeah.
And can someone, what's the time frame for someone to be seen?
So that's one thing that we're really working on being the best as far as this. So our patients are typically seen anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. So there's a variety depending what the patient's there for. So if they're there for an injury, it might be an hour visit, but they're getting an x-ray, they're getting durable medical equipment. So there's a lot more to, an exam with a broken bone versus an earache. Right. But typically every patient is out of the office within an hour, which is really good.
And I know that that's a really important thing to track in for your competition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And patients are happy with that. Typically a patient that's coming in for urgent care, they want to be in and out. They want quality care, but they want to be in and out in a timely manner.
You're right, you're right. And tell me about the insurances that you take at the centers.
So currently we're taking almost all insurances. Yep, so we're credentialed with many different insurance plans such as Blue Cross Blue Shield, Harvard Pilgrim, Tufts, Medicare, Medicaid, and many others. Even if we don't necessarily take your insurance, we will have patients, we will build their insurance and see if we can get it covered for them.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And you're open every day as well as holidays?
We are. We're open Monday through Friday.
Accessibility.
8 a.m. It's great. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays, 9 to 5.
That's
and
great.
we're only closed Christmas and New Year's. So even on holidays, which is great for patients.
That's wonderful. I have a question for both of you. Tell me a little bit about what someone can expect at these various locations. I know that there's some special interests.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what we have for diagnostics at Hudson?
Yeah, so in our Hudson and our soon-to-be Littleton location, we're able to draw labs for patients. We also have radiology services, which is really key for an urgent care facility. And we also have a different service that we're able to provide. It's called Stratus Interpreter Services.
Very
so
good.
for patients that come in that are deaf or have difficulty speaking English, we're able to have a face-to-face conversation with them, but we also bring in the Stratus Interpreter Services. And it's high-tech, modern technology. With an iPad, the patient's able to communicate with the interpreter on the other end, as well as the provider and the medical
Very
assistant.
important in a medical setting.
Yeah, so it's really great.
Yes.
Absolutely important.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So in Littleton, as I mentioned, we're going to have what we call the specialty suite, which is right next door to the urgent care. And we research what are the sort of common specialties that people who come to urgent care then need to follow up with. So they include orthopedics, hand surgery, ear, nose, and throat, GYN, general surgery. So there's a wide variety of specialists. So we're focusing on having those specialists have office hours in Littleton. So if you do need follow-up, how convenient is that you can literally go right next door for a visit, that you don't have to necessarily go to Concord or Westford, that you can go back to the same location and see a specialist. So we're very excited about that. There'll be many more, I'm sure, joining. So we're really excited to be able to offer that.
That's a wonderful model. That'll be really wonderful to watch how that grows.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we know it's all about convenience. We know people are busy. And they have busy families, busy lives, so we really want to make it as convenient as possible, providing really high quality care in a convenient setting for them.
That's great. Well, Amanda and Christine, thank you so much. This has been so informative.
Thank you.
And we wish Emerson Hospital's urgent care centers the best of success. This is so exciting, your new strategy and your developments.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. The Chamber's Young Professionals program is having a kickoff event on Wednesday, May 10th at the Thoreau Club at 275 Forest Ridge Road in Concord from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Please join us as young professionals from throughout Middlesex gather to network and make the connections important to their careers. First impression and business etiquette expert Janet Parnas will be offering pointers to help advance your business and career. Advance registration is recommended. Members are $10 and non-members are $20. You can register at mwcoc.com or call the Chamber office at 978-263-0010. We will be back shortly with our next guest. Welcome back to Business Matters. And now I have the pleasure of welcoming to Business Matters Bo Browning, Senior Vice President of Education and of Operations, and Joseph Moore, Campus Director and Director of Education for the National Aviation Academy in Concord. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, so glad you came. So tell us all about National Aviation Academy, NAA.
National Aviation Academy is a federal aviation regulation, Part 147, certificated airframe aircraft maintenance technician school. And our primary focus is training aircraft mechanics.
That's great. That's great. How long has NAA been in this area?
NAA has been in the state of Massachusetts since 1932. So we've had a long history up here of training aircraft technicians. We've been in our current location in Concord and Minuteman Airfield since spring of 2016. Prior to that, we were located at Hanscom Air Force Base.
And tell me a little bit about the programs that you offer.
We offer programs to prepare technicians that are going to become technicians to repair aircraft. Fix problems, return to service in 3 criteria: general, airframe, and power plant. Our general subjects cover basic topics like introduction to what is an aircraft, what is a wing, and then we work them through basic physics and math so they can get through the calculations to do formulations. When they move into airframe, where they do structural repair and so on, we move them through into power plant, where we actually deal with engines from pistons like you have in your car to turbine and jet engines. So we run it through a 14-month program, and we get them there.
That's great. That's great.
Yes,
There's a lot of training involved.
It is a lot of training. The program, as Joe was saying, it's 2,000 hours long. It's 14 months, and all the academics, all the attendance, it has to be accounted for in order to get to the licensing process for the FAA examinations.
Perfect. Right. And what experience does someone need who's interested in applying for your program?
Well, at National Aviation Academy, we really don't look for anybody with any particular experience coming in. We are a training institution, so we believe anybody that's willing to come in, they want to work hard to achieve a goal, we can get them through the process, and they can successfully complete the program.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So you deal with motivated students.
Yes.
Well,
Excellent.
We can take somebody who doesn't know how to check the oil in their car and carry them all the way through the A&P program. We've had students succeed in our program that have actually told me, I don't even know how to change a spark plug. This person is currently working in the industry.
Wow.
So, yes.
That says a lot about your programs.
Hard working initiative will get them to successfully to complete the program.
Tell me about some of the projects that students would work on in class.
Some of the projects that the students will work on in our general subjects, because we have a general, airframe, and power plant core matter of subjects. Our general subjects, some of the things they may do is how to identify hardware. In other words, from the head markings. How do they calculate the CG of an aircraft, weight and balance. On the airframe side, metallic and non-metallic structural repair. From the power plant side, Joe.
For our power plant side, we teach them how to time ignition systems to aircraft. We call them magnetos, not distributors like in cars. And we work them through how a turbine engine works, turbine engine theory, how the construction is, how it withstands what it can withstand, inspection criteria, maintenance and repair. We run them through the whole time.
I mean, this is so critical. The maintenance of aircraft, you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of people's lives.
Every
This
day.
is so important, so
Every day.
important. Tell me about what your students receive when they leave the academy.
Our students that successfully complete the program, they'll be able to take their FAA examinations to get their airframe and power plant certificate. Once they have that certificate, they're going to have many doors, many career opportunities are going to open up for them in the aviation industry, but also in parallel industries from some of the skill sets that we teach there. And also we have an articulation agreement with Middlesex Community College, so they can transfer, when they successfully complete the program, transfer credits to Middlesex Community College.
That's wonderful. I wasn't aware of that. That's great collaboration.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
That's great. Has that been going on for quite a long time when you were at Hanscom as well?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. That's great. So In terms of someone thinking about their career in aviation maintenance, what kind of options, what does the industry demand and look for?
The industry demands, attention to detail, initiative, and integrity. Got to be a professional at all times. Thousands of people are flying on those aircraft. Our integrity, our attention to detail is what allows that airplane to take off and land safely and get those passengers from point A to point B in an efficient and safe manner.
Yeah.
So I would say the number one thing, initiative and integrity.
Excellent.
And currently the demand for mechanics is pretty high up there, forecasted to just exceed what schools like ours put out right now. So you come through our program, put down the hard work, like Bo's saying, you will succeed. You will move on and be successful in this career.
And it's quite an industry to be involved with. That's for
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Tell me, from your perspective, why is maintenance an interesting part of this industry?
From my perspective, like we touched on a minute ago, thousands of aircraft, thousands of people traveling every day. That mechanic is ensuring that aircraft, every system on that aircraft is operating correctly, so that airplane can go from point A to point B and deliver those passengers, deliver that cargo in a safe and effective and efficient manner. Safety is paramount. Attention to detail is paramount.
One of the things for me is the impact we have daily, and how anonymous it is. You get on the plane, you take off, you fly to your destination. You don't know what it took to get that aircraft to carry you from point A to point B safely. We work in the dark. We're not the pilot with the shiny suits, that you see walking down the aisle. Hey. We're the guys behind the scenes making it all happen. And we do it every day silently, and we make sure that the American public stays safe. You can't pull over on a cloud and stop when it breaks.
No, you got that right. That's true. That's true. Joseph, tell me about what kind of career placements services do your students have the opportunity of availing themselves of?
All students that attend National Aviation Academy are lifetime career services availability. I mean, if you get a job, you lose a job, you come back to us, we put you in another job. We have 3 career fairs every year, and we also have companies that come in to recruit outside of those career fair opportunities. So there are lots of opportunities for alumni and attending students to interface with the industry. And we start that interface from the very first day of first term. Those students go to career fairs, even though they've just starting to establish that network with companies that they're interested in. So by the time they get to that 14th month, they know the people that they're getting ready to work for.
Yes, and it's a learning curve how to network and continue to make those strong connections.
Absolutely, absolutely. Aviation is like any other business. It's about the relationships you build, how you carry yourself out there, and the reputation that you build for yourself.
Tell me a little bit about once they're out in the field and out in the industry. What parts of the country do your students find jobs in?
Currently, we've placed at least one of our graduates in almost every state in the United States.
Whoa.
And we also have students working internationally in other countries. We have students as far north as Alaska, and we have students working over in Egypt. So it's wide reaching. The opportunities are there. If a person's willing to travel, there's an opportunity.
That's wonderful to have that
definitely
breadth
see the
of
world.
options.
You can definitely see the world.
Yes, excellent.
And one of the benefits of being an aviation mechanic, I myself, you can be a flight mechanic. Wherever the plane goes, you go. You really do get to see the world.
That's great. That's great.
It's a nice thing.
Wonderful. Are there other jobs that students can look for once they've received the airframe and the power plant certifications?
The airframe power plant certification that a student receives after successfully completing the program at National Aviation Academy, that is for returning aircraft and components to service. Now, the skill sets that we teach, the knowledge that they learn as they go through the program, electrical, hydraulics, pneumatics, NDT, non-destructive testing, composites. You know, all of those things, those skill sets can be transferred into other industries. You know, we have students working in the power, turbine power generation, windmills. You know, we have students working at amusement parks on high-end roller coasters. You know, we even have we've placed graduates into the various space programs that are going on out there right now.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Great.
the skill sets they learn here are transferable into a lot of other industries.
Great. One last question I wanted to ask is, I know you, National Aviation Academy has a strong presence in Florida.
Yes.
And now it has a strong presence in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Are there other areas that you're focusing on as well?
You know, right now, these are two key locations. We want to build our presence back up here in the state of Massachusetts, and we want to become the leading aircraft maintenance technician school in the state of Massachusetts. You know, so we're concentrating on building this program up right now, and as we build this program up, we want to bring some other training aspects in-house also.
Oh, great. Great. Wonderful. It's so important to be constantly having that foresight into the future.
Yes.
And seeing where you want to grow your programs.
But when you look at the industry now, anybody who orders anything from Amazon knows about the whole drone piece. And then all of those are avenues that we're constantly evaluating to look for opportunities to grow our program as we move forward as an industry.
Yeah.
It expands the opportunities for our graduates, like Bo was saying, into all these other other arenas, and allows us to present something better for those people coming in.
Excellent. Excellent. I'll look forward to you coming back and telling us more about your programs in the next year. That'll be wonderful.
Absolutely. We really appreciate being here
Great.
and giving us the opportunity.
That's
Thank you.
great. Well, wish you much continued success with both the Florida and the Concord National
get this
Aviation
going.
Academy locations.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You are
Thank you
most
so much.
welcome. I hope you can join us for Business Matters in June, as we have a tremendous program planned. Senator Eileen Donahue and Senator Jamie Eldridge will be with us, and we look forward to that opportunity. We also will offer a retrospective of our wonderful award celebration and scholarship fundraiser that took place in February. In addition, we will have a retrospective of our annual meeting, which just took place in April. And so I hope you won't miss this wonderful program. Thank you again for watching Business Matters. The Middlesex West Chamber of Commerce would like to acknowledge and thank our broadcast sponsors, Emerson Hospital and the Westford Regency Inn and Conference Center.